I am continuing with Evie Mitchell's All Access series. This is book number 2, Love Flushed, and I listened to the audiobook of this, just like I did with the first one. This is a second chance romance between Annie and Link or Lincoln. They dated in high school and they had a very dramatic breakup. There was familial betrayal, there was blackmail and coercion when it comes to their breakup, and that does get resolved and talked about later in the book. The thing that I'm really enjoying in this All Access series is the representation for disability, the representation for invisible diseases and very visible disability that these characters are having, and that this story showed that not only are they worthy of love and devotion and epic romance, but a little bit more into their life and what it's like to live with these conditions, the challenges that they face in the world, and what they do in their life to overcome them and to live their best and most thrive, the life in which they thrive the most. Annie has Crohn's disease. If you know anyone with Crohn's disease, it can be incredibly debilitating. There's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot that people have to deal with when it comes to managing their disease. And Evie doesn't shy away from it. There are toilet moments, if you know Crohn's, and you can understand what I mean. And those things are part of life and they shouldn't be hidden or shamed for. Number one, a bodily function that we all have. And number two, something that people around you might be dealing with. And we need to be kind and respectful and acknowledge that it's real, and not that it's okay, but you shouldn't have to hide it, and we should be kind and caring to people who are dealing with these things. I will also say that Evie writes some spice. Like, the spice in these books, they hit hard. They're very short. And when I look at the pages of the physical or ebooks, they are under 300 pages. So they're more novella length. If you're looking for some novellas to finish out the year with, if you're looking for disability rep to read in your own TBR, I think this All Access series would be a great gateway because they are so fun. This friendship group really is inspiring. The spices, and they aren't terribly long. I honestly don't know if I want to continue with them as audiobooks or physical books. I feel like audiobooks is where I'm going to be able to get them into my TBR the quickest. But as y'all know, I have big feelings about reading versus listening and how I can retain information more. I read Collide by Bal Khabra. This is a hockey college romance, and I'm just gonna get it out of the way. Like, this was a great book. If you read Icebreaker and you wished that the couple weren't both athletes, this is going to be a good one for you. This book is about Summer and Aiden. Aiden is the captain of the hockey team and he gets in trouble. He takes the heat for his team who had a party and it got a little out of hand. Summer wants to be a sports psychologist and she has this big final project where she has to evaluate one single player, and her advisor says hockey or bust because her advisor's a bitch. Summer has her own history with hockey and her own baggage with the sport. I don't really need to spoil it for you. It's kind of a non-issue. It's not a non-issue, but it's not a huge reveal, so don't feel like I need to. So her advisor says she has to do hockey or she won't accept the project. And the coach says, well, dude, you're taking the heat for the team. I'm going to make you be this psych student's bitch for her project in addition to everything that you're doing. So they are forced to spend time together for Summer's project, to have her research done, to do these evaluations, to go through the process that she's outlining in her project. And they get close and there's chemistry and they hook up, but Summer also has relationship baggage. No, she'll never date and it's just sex and it's not that. But Aiden falls hard and he falls fast. If you like it when the guy falls first and admits his feelings first, this is going to be a good story for you. Aiden honestly is a really stand-up guy. He takes care of Summer. He is very attentive. He understands that she's not able to give him what he wants at the beginning of this relationship, that she's not ready, that she has her own hangups, that she's keeping people at bay. And he waits for her. It's not obsessive like dark romance. I can never look at another woman. He just doesn't. He's done. He meets her and he realizes he doesn't want anyone else. It's fairly simple. It's very light. That was one of the things about this book that really kept me going, is I needed that lightness. It wasn't heavy. The stakes weren't light and death. And as someone who's been through college and has friends who've been through the grad school process, like, well, it definitely felt absolutely earth-shattering when I was going through it. Did we all survive? Yeah, we did. We all survived that process. So I knew that she was going to survive this process. Aiden also is already signed with a professional hockey team at the beginning of this story. So there isn't even that, will he make it to the pros? He will. He did. It's never really even in jeopardy. It didn't make my heart rate rise. And I needed that. I needed a book that was going to just hold me and hug me and care for me. So if you're looking for a hockey book that is lighter, that is younger, that isn't necessarily professional, I think this was a great one to read. I have no notes. It didn't hit me deep in the feels, but when I read this, I was not looking to be hit in the feels. I liked the way it was written. I liked these two characters. I enjoyed this journey, and I think that you will too. This is book 2 in the La Leonas trilogy. This is a sapphic historical fiction in the La Leonas world, and I loved it. Both of the FMCs in this story have Latinx heritage on this pre-marriage extravaganza. If you read A Caribbean Heiress in Paris, these 3 women are in Paris for the exhibition for various reasons. Manuela's excuse is she is engaged to be married and she wants to get her trousseau in Paris. That's the separation from her fiance and parents. But what she actually wants is to have a fling, to have the fling that she wants. She knows that she loves women. She knows she's attracted to women. She knows she's not attracted to men. And she wants to experience that kind of love and that kind of sex once before she's stuck married to this guy for forever. She meets Cora in a brothel. Cora has private rooms in this brothel, and Manuela accidentally stumbles upon them. Cora finds her there, and they have this beautiful, like, sensual, flirtatious moment. Up the next day, Manuela is meeting with a unknown duchess about selling some land that she inherited. Who is the unknown duchess? It's Cora, who is in fact an incredibly savvy businesswoman and is buying this land to build a railroad in South America. Manuela basically blackmails Cora, saying, hey, I'll give you my land if, number 1, you pay me what it's worth. That was a lowball offer that you sent over. No, thank you. And 2, if you take me to the lesbian haunts of Paris and show me your sapphic ways. It's such a great blackmail. Like, it's such a great blackmail moment. And Cora tries to get out of it by bringing her to things like lectures on sapphic beetles and things. And Manuel's like, fuck this. But as they spend all this time together, their attraction grows, their connection grows. And once they admit it to each other, it's just a spice fest. It's just a spice fest. Things do come to a head when the fiance shows up out of the blue. Lots of stuff goes back and forth. Cora has a history of scandal back in London, where she is a duchess in the UK, and her, predilections are known and came to quite a head. She's trying to step away from scandal and feels like Manuela is the person who's going to undo all of her hard work, undo all of that not goodwill, but undo the reputation that she's worked so hard to rebuild in the respectable eye of the town. This story is taking place at the same time as A Caribbean Heiress in Paris. Because it's been so long since I've read that, I'm not sure how well it lines up story-wise with Luz and Easton, but it's around the same time. I'm so excited because I have an arc of A Tropical Rebel Gets the Duke, which is the last book in the Leonas trilogy. And so y'all, you're gonna see it here real soon. I don't even know if this was a bad decision. I don't know. I feel like I was hit by a truck. I read Halloween. I know I'm a little late to the game. I don't usually read things in the season when they are. I'm not only holiday books in the holiday season or summer books of the summer. I read things all the time. but I don't know. I just saw too many people posting about this, and so I read this. What I will say is Holly Wilde is so good at puns. These puns are so good. It's too ridiculous. It's in this town where apparently magic and superstition are very real. If you thought this novella was only one, no, it's 3 different people's stories. We're fine. Doesn't even matter what these women's names are. Okay, so point of view number 1, woman number 1 is at her friend's house for a Halloween party, and there are superstitions that I'll get to in the next story, but this rando is at this party weeping because her friend has disappeared. And it's because she did this weird paranormal thing. I'm not even going to say what it is because it's so weirdly dumb that I groaned aloud. But this hysterical woman is like, my friend is missing. She's been taken. She's gone. I need you to help me. I need you to do the ritual to see if we can get my friend back. And so point of view woman number 1 does. She goes into the bathroom and does this ritual. I'm not going to say what it is. And is transported into like an alternate dimension. So she's in the same kind of physical space, but it's clearly inhabited by someone different. And it turns out that it's inhabited by these like jack-o'-lantern dudes. So these jack-o'-lantern dudes show up and then they bone. Oh my, how do I say that? It just, and the way that she describes the textures and the flavors and the puns are so, I can't even. Like the way that everything is described in detail as a pumpkin, I can't. But it's 3 of them and her. And then the second point of view is the actual owner of the house, and she accidentally does the superstitious thing. She leaves candy in the bowl. So the candy man comes, but he's like made of candy and he's there. They bone. And it turns out that her boning him brings back person number 1 and the friend that disappeared forever ago. And they're both like, oh, but it was kind of nice being with my jack-o'-lantern dudes in the alternate. So I kind of feel like I've been hit by a truck. If you want a plot that makes sense, don't read this book. If you want sex that makes, biologic sense, don't read this book. If you just want something that is all spice and no substance, go read this. It's not even a book. Go read this. But you don't have to. I read Not Your Damn Omega, which I have been saying is not your damn Omega, but it's probably not Your Damn Omega. Anyway, doesn't matter. It's by Devin Sinclair, and I don't think I felt like a book was written for me in a fictional way in a really long time. This is an Omegaverse, as you can probably tell by the title. It is a white shoes Omegaverse, and it is so spicy. Esme is the twin sister of Eva. Eva is a movie star, and Esme has always been kind of second fiddle to her sister. So when her mother tries to set her up with pack after pack, Omegas can either mate with a pack or mate with one single alpha. It doesn't go well. All of these packs kind of assume that Esme is going to be Eva. In order to cheer her up, Eva takes her out for a night on the town, and she scent matches or compatibilities with Bennett, who she thinks is a cupcake. He smells like a cupcake to her. She literally runs across the room and is like, wait, you're not a cupcake. It's great. It's one of my favorite meet cutes. You're not a cupcake. No, he's not. But he's so much better. He's one of 5. Yes, you heard it. 5 dudes in this pack, and they all scent bond with her, and then they court her, which basically means she moves into the house. But before they move her into the house, she goes into heat. Oh no, she goes into heat, and then they're like, we will service you through your heat. So the first thing that happens with this group is she goes into heat, and they spend several days with her. All 5 of them. 5. I'm not going to get over that because it's so great. Now, the plot of this story is fairly simple. The point of this book is not spice, but the heat part is definitely spice. While there isn't a ton of complicated plot outside of their spice and their time together and their connection with each other, I don't care, because one of the things that happen with each of these men, I should probably name them, Bennett, Cade, Avery, Luke, Rylan is they're all different. They all care for her in a different way. She works with them in a different way, and they complete the person that she is. One of the things that I'm noticing with the Omegaverses I've been recently reading is none of them talk about shifting into wolves at all. And I've never experienced that. There's always been some sort of shifting aspect. Now I'm questioning everything I know about Omegaverse and PNR. So if you have insight, let me know. This story has a lot of heart. Esme carries a lot of baggage emotionally from the expectations put on her about her sister, from the role that her mother and her sister's PR team have put her in, and it affects her relationship with these men, with the guys, as she calls them, with her pack, because she's healing. She has to heal from this trauma, from these expectations, from the belief that no one wants her for her. Everybody wants her because they think she's the knockoff version of her sister, because people have told her that. Her mother has told her that. In the end, not only does Esme get this incredible pack of men who are there for her, care for her, and really meet her where she is and fit into the nooks and crannies of who she is, but she sets boundaries with her mother. Her sister tangentially learns to set boundaries with their mother, and they build a more honest relationship between each other. Is it perfect at the end of the book? Absolutely not. But that's life. That's the way that this works. The only complaint, and Devin knows this, so if you're like, oh my God, Devin, don't tell this to Devin. She knows. I messaged her. I bought this beautiful, beautiful copy. I didn't realize this was a copy that most people apparently use for just having be pretty. I bought it for reading. This font is tiny. It's the tiniest font I've ever had to read, or I've had to read in a really long time. And don't do that. So if you see this edition, don't buy it for the reading. Buy it because it's pretty, because the font is really bad. Unfortunately, I have the next two in very pretty books as well. So wish my eyes some luck.